After years of being burnt out in my medical sales corporate job in America, I hit a breaking point where I literally just couldn't take it anymore. And in the back of my head, all I wanted to do was leave the US and move abroad. And let me tell you, it definitely was a scary leap, but once I did it, I felt so much happier. I just felt like this weight was lifted off of me and I was getting to experience the things I've always wanted to. And the things that were dragging me down or holding me back or making me not feel like I fit in or in a lifestyle I didn't want to have were behind me. So once I left the US, I felt so much happier. I'm Christina, I'm a digital nomad. I quit my job 4 years ago in 2019, packed up my stuff, was traveling and working all around the world, and recently relocated my whole life to Barcelona, where I'll be living for the next few years. So welcome to my channel. I'm really excited to dive into this topic because it's a little bit controversial. You know, some people, when they're Americans and I talk about the reasons of me leaving America and why it made me happier, get a bit offended. But the people who get it, get it. And in this video, I want to talk about why I left the US and what things I experienced outside of the US that just made me feel happier and my life just feel like a bit more of a breeze instead of the craziness that I felt when I was living in the US. So here are my reasons why. Number one, and I know many people will get this, the rat race in the US is crazy. Let's be real. It is very intense. Everyone is trying to keep up with the Joneses. It is how much more money can you make? What nice new car can you have? What vacation can you go on? How big is your house? How big is your apartment? Do you have a designer bag? There's so much pressure, especially where I'm from. I'm from New Jersey, an hour outside New York City, and the rat race is very real. Whether or not you're even into designer things or whatever, it can still feel like a rat race for what you're competing to. How much money do you make? What is your salary? What is your job title? Think about it. I have a question for you. When you first meet somebody and you say, "Hi, what's your name?" Oh, what is the first question you always ask after people's names? Always ask people, "So what do you do?" Why does that matter? And I didn't realize until I left the US and I was traveling and having conversations with people, and they'd be like, "Why do Americans always ask what I do? What does it matter?" And I'd be like, why does it matter? Like, truly, why does it matter what you do? Why is there a label on who you are initially based on your job title? And when I took a few months to travel right after college, I really started to see a completely different perspective when I was living in Tokyo and Singapore and traveling Southeast Asia. And when I came back to America, I was like, I'm not into the materialistic things. I'm not into this rat race. I want to get a job. I want to make money. I want to travel. I want to have experiences, do all the things. And the more I lived over in the US over those years after coming back, I realized I fell right back into it. I did want the nice car. I did want to make a lot of money so I could buy a big house. I want all those things. And there's nothing wrong with wanting nice things. The difference is, what are you doing it for? Are you stretching yourself so much to where you don't have a lot of disposable income to do the fun things, to take the trips, to do whatever because you want to have that big apartment and you want to have those nice bags? If it's for yourself, good and dandy. But if it's not, you're falling into the rat race. And when I moved abroad, I realized that that rat race doesn't really exist in other places. Yes, the strive and drive for success is everywhere, but people also balance living life. And that is one thing that I completely found abroad that I just found myself to be so much happier with. Buy things for you. Don't buy things to impress other people. And whether people are going to say, "I don't do that," subconsciously, a lot of us do because it's just what's in the media. It's on social media. Buy this new Amazon thing, Amazon Home finds this and that. All these different things end up putting you in the rat race. So it was definitely one of the big things in America that I really wanted to escape was that freaking rat race. And coming off that, reason number two, and I know people definitely understand this, the life of living to work versus working to live. In America, they live to work. If you're working a job, you're working 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week sometimes. And if you're really successful on Wall Street, you're working that 80 hours a week and you're working your life away to make enough money one day to retire 30 or 40 years down the line and then enjoy life. Or you're making so much money because you're working 8 hours a week and you're, have this high paying job, but all you really have is the 2 hours you get home from work to shower, sit on the couch, eat meals, go to the gym, wake back up, go to work, and then you have the weekend to try and relax, and it's only 2 days and you're back at it again. In America, you are living to work. Your whole life is just so focused on your career and your work and your drive and how many hours a week are you working. And then when I went to Spain, I saw a completely different lifestyle. And that is one where you work just to live, where your work is allowing you to be able to live and enjoy your life. When it's 5 o'clock, when it's time for work, when it's lunchtime meetings, everyone's out and about. They're having a nice long lunch, they're enjoying themselves. The workday ends, it ends. They get multiple weeks of vacation a year. If they're hurt, they get multiple weeks off if they need it. They get months of maternity leave. They get all these different things to make sure their life isn't just solely focused on work. We should be able to enjoy more of life, and I'm hoping American culture slowly starts to go that way and follows the European way. But we need to work on more of living life, going to have lunch with friends in the afternoon, after work, going to have actual time because you're not working till 8 or 9 p.m. Going to have time to sit down, maybe go in the park with your friends, maybe go get a drink after work, go see sunset at the beach if you live somewhere where you have a pretty sunset. Go do more things with your life. And I think that is a major difference and a major key in American culture versus other places in the world where they actually kind of enjoy life and aren't really pushing this work. And eventually, at some point in your life, when you're 65, you can retire and enjoy life. No, thank you. And next, this one honestly was really apparent once I left America, and that is the food. And don't get me wrong, I do love American food, and I do love like going out to eat here, and some of the stuff does taste so good. But when I left America and I was eating out and I was having breads and I could actually eat cheese, and I couldn't even really eat that in America, and I could have all these things without gaining loads of weight. And I was quite confused, and I started to realize how much fresher the food is. And that is a really big kicker. Like when I come back home, and sadly this happens every single time, the first couple days, maybe first day or two, I actually get sick after I eat. And then within that first week, I'm actually really bloated. And I was facing this problem just when I came back to visit this time. And the first week, my whole bottom of my stomach was like distended. I was so bloated. I felt absolutely disgusting, and I couldn't understand what was going on. And when I started to think about it, like I started eating American food again. I was eating pastas, I was eating breads, I was like eating all the things that I missed to have. But my body wasn't used to eating those things that are as processed as they are here. And even in Spain or the UK or other countries. And don't get me wrong, they have processed foods, but everyday foods aren't processed. And their stuff that is processed isn't anywhere near as bad. Our American Doritos are illegal in some other countries because of the dyes and the things that are in them. Trust me, they make them taste delicious, but it's really not good for you. And even some of the candies, like my boyfriend came back to America with me for the first time last year, and he had American sweets because he's like, I want to try some. And his whole jaw was like locking up from how sweet they are, and his face was all squished up. And it was normal candy that I would eat and be like, oh, that's not that sweet. It's just the difference in how we're processing things and how our food is made. And I've come to realize how much sicker it made me and how bloated I always feel. And it sucks. Like I wish it wasn't that way. But it is so nice having fresh produce. I don't have to go to the food store and buy organic meat. The meat is just better. It's just fresher. It's not injected with loads of hormones. The crops aren't covered in thousands of pesticides. It's sad, but it is a reality and a big factor when living abroad, just how much better I feel from all the food I eat and how much more of like breads and carbs and things like that I can actually eat, stay healthy, lose weight, and still enjoy myself. So 100% was a very big factor for having a happier life living abroad. And this next one doesn't even have to specifically do with Americans, but just leaving your own home country, is the fact that I was able to be surrounded by people who had more of an open outlook to the world because we all came from different places. And this is true whether you leave America, whether you leave your home country of Germany, whether you leave wherever you're from, your hometown. Those people usually have similar ideas, similar culture, similar way of growing up and living life. And for me, where I'm from, it was just very polarized. Obviously, when I left America in 2019, there was a lot of politics going on between presidents in the US, and there was a lot that I wanted to literally escape because it gave me a goddamn migraine. Because everything is politicized in America, let's be real. But outside of that, it was just really nice to get out of my hometown way of thought and to talk to other people who grew up completely different than me, get completely different perspectives on how they grew up, how they have their childhood, how they operate in their day-to-day life, how they see their career and work and their future life and all those different things. And you could talk about just different ideas, where I felt like a lot of times with people from home, they didn't really understand my way of thinking, but I did struggle sometimes relating to people from home who were just in a one path kind of train of thought. And I do get it, because I think my horizons were really opened when I went and lived in Asia after college for a couple months. Most people from my hometown obviously went off to college. After college, got a good job. I'm 30. They are married. They're getting married. They have babies. They're having babies. It's all within that realm, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But for me, I wanted to kind of not go down the settled down route, and wanted to create my own job and my own career and live around the world and experience things. And that was something I really struggled to relate to other people with. And then when I started traveling and obviously met people abroad, I started to find more of my tribe and the people who understood the lifestyle I wanted to live and the dreams I had. And that was really, truly amazing, because it felt like my feelings and my thoughts were validated, and that wasn't something I always felt at home. It was kind of more like, you're the crazy one, like you have these crazy wild dreams, one day you'll settle down. And I didn't want that pressure of like, you're just going through a wild phase. I wanted people to understand what I wanted in life and what I wanted to get out of it and how I wanted to live. And so meeting those people outside with different opinions and perspectives was really a kicker. And I think building that community of people from around the world and digital nomads has given me that sense of home and that sense of understanding that I think I lacked back at home when I felt very misunderstood. And now I kind of feel like I've cultivated people who I can turn to and vent or talk or dream with about life, that kind of have a better understanding from me, because I'm no longer in a town where people kind of live a similar type of life, which there is nothing wrong with that if you want that type of life. But if you don't, it feels very outcasty when you're living in that and you want something completely different. And lastly, this is probably a big one for anyone who maybe isn't making a lot of money when you first start your digital nomad journey, is the cost of living in the US versus many other countries is so much higher. So your money can actually go a lot further, and so you can live a better life. You can go experience more than you think you can if you have a normal US salary, or if you have a lot of US savings and you kind of want to travel for a bit. Your money can just go farther. When I first left for Southeast Asia, I obviously didn't have a job. I had a lot of savings, and then when I moved to Bali, I literally was making like $2,000 a month. Not a lot of money, but in Bali I was able to have a really nice villa. I was able to go out for dinner and lunch every day and get massages every once in a while and have fun with my friends. And so you can live a better lifestyle and less money in a lot of different countries abroad. And obviously with certain ones, you're going to have a different standard of living. Some are third world countries and some are first world countries. But having lived in places like Southeast Asia and in very cheap locations like Bali and Thailand, I can tell you that also living in Barcelona, which is obviously a first world country, the cost of living is still less than it is in the US, and my money just goes further. So living in Barcelona, I still have first world things. I still have Sephora. I still have all the stores if I need to, but my money goes further. So what it means is my quality of life is just better. So my groceries cost less. My cost of rent actually is way less than it would be in America. Going out to eat is less. Having drinks, going out for happy hour and things like that is way less than it is in America. So right now, for example, my disposable income is probably the same as it would be if I was living in the US. But the different factor is that I am going out for dinners in Barcelona. I'm going out for drinks with my friends. I'm going out on the weekend. We're planning girls' trips. And I can do all of these things because my money goes farther than it would if I was living in America and maybe going out to dinner maybe once a week, going out for drinks maybe once a week because things are just that much more expensive. Give you a prime example, and one of my favorite ones, I love a glass of wine. I love a glass of wine on the weekends, like Friday nights. When I'm done with work, I want to go have a glass of wine and just cheers to the end of the week and cheers to the start of the weekend. In Barcelona, I can go out and get a very delicious glass of wine for 3 to 4 euros. And that 3-4 euro wine is actually good. And Harry and I can go out for dinner together at a restaurant and have a nice dinner with appetizer, drink, and meal for like $30-$35. You literally couldn't do that in America unless you're going to a very cheap restaurant. And I know in New Jersey, if you want to go to a nice dinner together, you're spending at least $80 to $100, especially once you add that tip in. So money just seems to go way farther in other countries, and my quality of life therefore is increased. I can do more with my money, and that is 100% a great thing. So I don't want this video to be a shit on America, because that is not the goal. I just want to give light into why I'm happier since I left America and what factors kind of played into my happiness and how good I feel living abroad. And obviously there are downsides and there are cons to this lifestyle for sure. But for me, I truly found my happiness once I left America, and not all of my reasons have to do with America specifically. And so if you relate to some of these things, maybe it might be time for you to take an extended little trip, go test out some new locations, or maybe really start considering this lifestyle. And if you really are considering this lifestyle and you want to know how I got started, click the video above. I kind of answered all the top first beginner digital nomad questions and freelancer questions on how I got started and how you can get started, because I know this is definitely a dream and a goal for many people. So definitely go check that video out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a bit of a rant, and like I said, not trying to put negative light onto America. I am American. I am still an American citizen. I still do love my family and my friends who live there. I still do love the country in some aspects. But when it comes to living and where I actually put myself and what gives me the happiest life, it just happens to be outside of America. So if you relate to that, please drop a comment below. Let me know where you're at. Let me know if you relate to any of the things I said, because I think when you find a community who relates to you and is like, oh my God, I need a different life, it is really nice just building that little network of people. And coming up soon, I'm actually going to be diving into also the realities of the digital nomad life and what the truth kind of is behind this lifestyle, because although living abroad does make me extremely happy and the happiest I've been, there are obviously low moments, and I think some of the realities need to be talked about. So keep an eye out, because that video will be coming soon. But I'll catch you guys next video. See you then.